Yeah, so
go ahead and start streaming.
We can go ahead and get started a little bit early on YouTube, Trevor, and just kind of give the people that are willing to be live just a little bit more tidbit. It gives me a chance sometimes to get the F's and S's and stuff out of the way that I need to clear out of my head before we start, or add them in on the back end. It's usually only 5 to 10 minutes on the front and 5 to 10 minutes on the back. But it just gives us a second to kind of work things out. I sent you via DM the show notes. I don't know if you had a chance to review them. If you didn't, it doesn't matter. A lot of times we just
I read a little bit of them.
Okay, so it's a really thin show sheet. We don't really like to script what we're doing. We just like to say, this is the topic we'd like to discuss. Let's see what happens.
10-4. 10-4. Yeah,
right.
It's more ad-libbing.
Yeah, it's really and that's why it was so funny. So we had our friends up from Detroit last week on, and they've pretty much script their show basically. Not like not like reading it, but like they have a very detailed show sheet, and it's like that's not really the way we do it, which is fine. That makes it different shows, right?
Yeah.
So I think there was a couple of things I wanted to make sure we got squared away on the front end before we go live on the recording. Is let's see, you
may hear us go dark for a minute while we're playing some music and stuff. That happens sometimes for the Skype folks. I'm not sure if it'll happen to you. We'll see. But sometimes right when we start the show, you won't hear us for 30 seconds or so. Don't give up on us. We'll call you, or we'll be right back on to you. Just happens to be the way the sound works. We start the show by just screaming, yelling, and hooting and hollering and all that, and doing some whatever we call it, intro stuff, and then we'll announce you as a guest and just kind of get talking from there. We always start a segment called "What You Drinking?" So if you've got a cold drink with you, whether it's alcoholic, non-alcoholic, it don't matter. We like to do that, and then we'll just run through a few segments and then just sort of freestyle with you.
Okay, cool.
Awesome.
No problem.
I see some folks are joining. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out with us. We're going to have some fun tonight.
I got to get on here and make sure I can send. And I need to turn my volume down again, as always.
As usual, as is tradition. Trevor, do you have a hard stop tonight?
Do what?
Do you have a hard stop tonight, a time that you need to be done with the show?
Nah, I'm good.
Okay. We usually run
no hard stop.
Yeah, we'll usually run right at an hour or so, and then get you out of here and all that. So if it starts running over or you need anything, just hey boys, time for me to hit the sack. It's fine.
Okay, cool.
Sound effects. Let me make sure I have my stuff up. And
Did I send you any other cool pictures?
Me?
Yeah, go pull one off the PETM DMs of like him interviewing Josh Berry. Where did Josh Berry win this past week?
Tri-County.
Tri-County. Okay. We want to make sure.
Yeah, it's like our sister track. It's I'd say it's 20 minutes from Hickory.
Oh, no shit. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Josh Berry, who drives
for really close
Junior Motorsports, by the way. That's where we want
Junior.
to sling that in there.
Okay. Yeah.
We rained out at Hickory Saturday night. Me and my dad went down there. Josh called and said they were going to race, so we went there, and then we had our race at Hickory on Sunday.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so I got to get both in. That was pretty cool.
That's neat y'all have that flexibility. There's probably a lot of tracks that don't.
Yeah, it was the crazy thing is, like I said, it was 20 minutes away. It was pouring at Hickory. There was no way we could get it in. I called Josh. I said, dude, we're canceling. We're racing tomorrow. What about y'all? And he said, it's barely raining here. They're driving the track. We're going to go racing. So I jumped in the car and drove 20 minutes down the road and watched the race.
That is very cool. We'll find a way to work that little tidbit in because that's kind of neat. And it chronicles very well the things we all deal with in the South in the summer, and that it might be raining at your house, and at your neighbor's house it's like sunny, nothing's going on.
Yeah, no kidding.
I'm glad I went to that one. That was one of the best endings to a race I'd seen in a long time.
Cool. Well, if we for whatever reason forget to prod you to talk about that, then we'll bring that up at the end. Just talk about what you thought was cool about the end of the race, and for sure give Josh Berry a plug. We don't know him. I know he races for Junior, and that's cool with us. We're all up in that stuff. So
sweet. All right. Looks like we are ready to get going. Trevor, you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Sherwin, you ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Well, let me bring this up. And here we go. We will start recording now. The PETM podcast is sponsored by you. That's right. Go to patreon.com/PETM and join the What You Drinking Club for as little as $1 a month and get you that free koozie. The best part is every cent in 2017 we're donating to sponsored drivers. So join the PETM posse today. Be a part of the sport you love. This week's show is, as always, brought to you by our official sponsors at the $5 and up per month level. Got a lot of them, y'all. Hang in with me. Catherine Kingston, Ashley Stang, Jeffrey Whitler, Mark Wiley, Craig Smulders, Rick Hamacher, Lori Sutton, Mick Rose, Tony Salt, Colby McClam, Eric Kepner, Ryan Kiefer, Marianne Levesque, Patrick Cleary, Jeff Brown, Harry Balzania, and welcome to the PETM posse, Robert Keplinger. Let's do this. Boom.
Talladega to Daytona, Bristol, Charlotte, it's an
welcome, y'all! That's right. This is the Pregame Engineer Tailgame Air Racing Podcast, episode number 106. It's Tuesday, July 11th, 2017. I'm Tailgame Mayor Rusty Wallace. I'm joining the PTM Podcast studio with Pregame Engineer Andrew Sherwin. What's up, dude?
Hey, man, we're doing another one of these, it feels like a throwback episode where we bring some people some information they wouldn't otherwise have any reason to have come across. Like some historical NASCAR stuff. So I'm pretty excited about this. I don't know about you.
Oh, man, I've been excited all day. Had all these sound issues that I had to sort out just prior to the show starting, so really excited that...
You had to wrangle up the cords over there?
I think mostly excited that I got that all straightened out and we can actually have a show. At one point I was thinking me and Sherwin just going to have to sit next to each other in chairs. The PTM Podcast studio isn't exactly huge or anything, so it would have been a tight fit to have us both on one side of this desk.
Yeah, especially with my fat butt.
We've got it all figured out now. We have a guest tonight. So excited to bring to y'all. He's the announcer for the infamous Hickory Motor Speedway in Newton, North Carolina. It's Trevor Townsend. Trevor, what's up, man?
Hey, how are y'all doing?
We are doing
very,
fantastic.
Very good.
Yeah. And before we get too deep into anything, Trevor, we always start the show off the same way. What you drinking tonight?
I'm drinking a Stella.
Stella. All right.
Wow, it's like classical there.
It's
classic
classy.
Cool.
There you go.
Yeah. He's one of our few guests that have decided to jump on the alcohol train with us.
That's true.
Probably the best way to...
Do you have one of those cool flowered glasses, or do you are just straight out of the bottle?
I've got it mixed with, classical and then a little bit of redneck to it. It's got my Junior Motorsports koozie on it, so
hell yeah,
we're all good.
Hell yeah,
awesome. That's a perfect.
That is perfect
way to drink that. Actually, down here in the South in this humid and on
you
and off
definitely need a koozie.
Weather we've got going on. No kidding,
it's going to sweat all over
everywhere.
everything.
So Trevor, maybe tell us, just to get us started off.
We didn't talk about what we were drinking.
We didn't. No, go ahead. Yeah, you brought something. Jeez, right. I'm sitting here drinking all over it and not.
Sorry. So today is National Mojito Day because every day has got to be a day now, right? Mojito.
Yeah.
I said it like a redneck. I said mojito. National Mojito Day. So I brought all the ingredients, which is like white rum, mint, lime, simple sugar, and club soda.
Yeah. And
it's like a cocktail.
He brought me one too, and I'm probably about halfway done with it before show even starts. So we're going to be up to something fun.
So, for sure.
Thank you, Sherwin, for bringing that. We've got those, going to down those. Got others on deck, as is tradition here at the PETM podcast.
Yeah, we know we can't leave the studio, so we got to bring it all in.
yeah, a whole tailgate with us, if you will. Mr. Trevor, how about starting off by telling us really how you ended up where you're at? I mean, it was such a cool job. Tell us about that job, and I say that job, obviously not your 24/7 job, but how you ended up doing the announcing for Hickory Speedway.
Well, a lot of drivers talk about how tough it was to get to where they were, and there was a lot of doors closed before one opened. It was very similar with me. I moved here from Orange County, Riverside, California. I was born in Riverside, California. Moved here when I was about 3 years old. My dad started working on a race car at Hickory Speedway for Chris Diamond when I was 4. And we'd go every Saturday night. I'd sit at the same spot, watch the races, watching what I consider the legends now, Dennis Setz, Dexter Knipe, Scott Kilby, the Houston boys. I got to sit there and watch them all the time, and I just thought, I just really want to be a part of this. But my issue was I never really dreamed of racing, and that was not really my dream, I don't think. I mean, I'm sure as a kid I thought I would want to get in a car, but I don't think I ever really wanted to race. And I definitely couldn't work on the car, so I was really, really stuck there. When I was 18, I started my dad had worked for Chris Diamond. His brother started a Hooters Pro Cup team, and he wanted me to be the tire carrier. So I thought, okay, I'll give this a shot. I really want to be a part of this sport. I'm going to give it a shot. I went to Myrtle Beach to do that. I was also the tire specialist. Well, I was lugging up the wheels in the pits, and the car had a flat tire within lap 3 or 4. I forgot to put my gloves on, so when I carried the tire out, taking the other one off, it burnt my hands real bad. I just wasn't ever going to make it doing that. I later on went to working for the driver that he had, Jeremy Donnelly, which is actually the engineer for Kyle Larson now. And all he'd let me do is take the tires off, put them on, and when he was late model racing, take them off, put them on. There was one time that both the brothers were racing down at Motor Mile, which is in Virginia, and it was on in a hot summer weekend where everybody had plans. So I was the only one who showed up to help them. They had 2 cars. I actually I missed the stop on the race car and stuck the jack through the door. So, I just knew it just wasn't for me. So then one day I get a phone call. Obviously I met people through doing that. I get a phone call, and then I was off that day, and it was a guy named Clint Mills, and he says, "Hey, what are you doing today? Are you thinking about coming to Richmond?" And I said, "For the Denny Hamlin Showdown." And that's I don't know if you guys know, but that's a big late model race Denny Hamlin has as a charity event.
Oh, cool.
And he gets a bunch of the cup guys to come out. And I said, I thought about it, but that's 8 hours away. He said, "Well, I need a spotter." I said, "Well, what are you calling me for? I've never spotted a race before. I don't know what to do." I'm like, we barely even, know each other. You're going to call some random guy to come spot for you? He's like, "Dude, I'm really desperate." He said, "I see on Facebook that you thought about coming down here. I'm desperate." I said, "All right." So I called my grandpa. We got in the van. It was early that morning. I went to bed that night not even knowing I was going to the Richmond Motor Speedway. And then I show up there. We're sitting there, and Kyle Busch is sitting right next to us. His spotter actually had to take me to where the spotter stand wanted. I had no clue. And I get up there. I have a stopwatch. I dropped the stopwatch after the first lap all the way through the stand. And it was just a total disaster. I'm up there. I'm like, clear, I think, just terrible. And we make. I feel bad, but I'm praying, oh, please don't let him make the race. Practice was terrible. If I get to go to spot him in this race, I'm gonna be the laughing stock here. So he makes the race, last car in the show. Okay. Well, Denny had the pole. Denny Hamlin decides he's going to start in the rear to make it exciting. Kyle Busch was in that race. Michael Waltrip was in that race. Joey Logano. So there's to spot your first race, you would think you would start out like, Legends cars or something. Here I'm starting at Richmond with Cup guys, And so Denny decides to start in the rear. And I tell him, I said, my best advice is just follow that 11 car up through there. That's probably going to do good for you. So the first 3 laps, there's a huge wreck, and something just worked. I just go low, go high. I got him through a huge wreck. We ended up finishing 12th, and I got home, and I thought, you know what, I can do this. So I got with some guys at Hickory, obviously my hometown, and started spotting there. And then one day I get a call from Mike Bean. And he said, I heard you've been spotting. Now, Mike Bean, I'm sure all y'all know in Georgia, he was a longtime crew chief for Bill Elliott.
Yes, sir. That name sounds real familiar.
He's now the general manager for GMS. But at that time, he was with Red Horse. Well, we went to church with him growing up. I always looked up to him. And my mom cleaned his house, so we were good family friends. And he said, I heard you're spotting some. And I said, yeah, kinda. I'm just trying. I just want to be a part of the sport. He said, well, I need a spotter for a new driver we have, John West Townley. And I said, like, for me, you want me to do it? And he's like, well, just come and see what you think. And so I went, and long story short, I started spotting for John West Townley some. We spotted for quite a while there with John West Townley and the Zaxby's truck. That was pretty cool. Definitely like, wow, I might can make it in this sport, Obviously, I couldn't do it mechanically or driving, but the talking part, I got it figured out, And that led into me getting with Tim Fedola, which is now Kevin Harvick's spotter.
Yep.
And Tim said, hey, do you want to make a career of this? I said, 2 years ago, no, but it's starting to look like I really like this, And he's like, well, you come to the truck races, come to the Xfinity and the Cup races with me. You can stand up there with me on the spotter stand, and you can just listen to me if I need to send you down there to another spotter. So I got to do that for a year. that was huge for me. I learned a lot from Tim Fedola. And then I got away from the truck spotting. I wanted to come back home. I recently got married to my beautiful wife, and we got a son, and I needed to come back. I wanted to be more at home, and the truck thing just really didn't work out there. So I came back to Hickory and started spotting there, and obviously my opportunities, after getting my experience there, my opportunities really picked up there, and I got to spot. I've spotted for countless people since then, and I've been announcing for about 4 years at Hickory, so it was a long road up and down. Kevin Piercy, a good friend of mine, is the promoter at Hickory Motor Speedway, said, hey, apparently you like this talking stuff, why don't you do it? And my passion for Hickory is just, I don't know, it's just something I always had. I just love the racetrack. I just want to be there every Saturday night, and I love the history of it. So I think that really helps me getting up there talking about the racetrack every Saturday night because I have so much history that I can fall back on.
That's a fantastic story, and really cool how that shaped up from the beginning and going through spotting and everything. I love that. Before we move on, one of the things we always do here on the podcast, for the past, 60 some odd podcast is talk about a driver number. We're on the 106th episode. We kind of dropped the 100 part and talk about driver number 6 because it's our 106th episode. And can't talk about driver number 6, Sherwin, without Mark Martin. 600,
absolutely cannot.
619 races, 35 wins. legend of the sport, obviously. And, what can you say? Other than the number 6. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I'm curious to know if there was anybody else before him that is, like, going to shock us a little bit. Like, oh, that awesome guy drove the car.
So there's some really cool wins here. I'll go through them. David Reagan had that one win in the 6 car.
Yes, he did.
Yep.
Daytona.
Yep. David Pearson, 27 wins in 165 races in the number 6. Isn't that crazy?
Wow, that's like 20%. That's a pretty good win percentage.
I'll tell you what. Cotton Owens, name keeps popping up
Cotton
everywhere.
Owens.
103 races in the 6 car with 6 wins, right? We've heard his name a lot on here. Buddy Baker with some wins. Charlie Glotzbach, Pete Hamilton, Bobby Allison had a win. Joe Eubanks had a win. I'm going to talk real quick about Marshall Teague, 7 wins. He was known for walking into Smokey Yunick's best damn garage in town, and he launched Yunick's career by just walking in. He ran.
Well, you'll build me a car, I think is what he said.
Yeah, he ran 23 races in the 50s and won 7 of them in the number 6 car.
Golly.
And died in 1959 while trying to set a new speed record for the Sumar Special Streamliner at 140 miles an hour. So we'll raise our glasses to Marshall Teague. Trevor, have you heard of Marshall Teague before? This is the first time I'd run across his name.
I have not, actually.
Well,
new to everybody.
Yeah, right. Sherwin, you had a fun one. Roush ran a 6th car in 2006, and it was the 06 car.
Yeah, it was like too many 6s in a row. And I got a DM from our buddy over in Italy, Gabriel. He's like, hey, don't forget about this, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I didn't even remember that happening.
Yeah.
And so for the rookies to get a couple of starts here and there, like their R&D car, back before NASCAR said you can only have 4, and Roush actually had 5, and then they ran a 6th R&D car.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
And one last one, the 06 car has a win with Cale Yarborough. How about that, huh?
Well, if you're going to win one with a Bulldog.
No kidding. Trevor, any notable number 6s that come to your mind that's come across Hickory?
Well, right now, Dennis Setzer's son is driving a number 6 car. That was the first number that came to mind. He's driving the Cars Tour. But Angie Wilson, one of our female competitors back when I was growing up, Angie Wilson drove the 06. And she was a very, very big fan favorite. That was before women really dabbled into racing. So she was kind of a pioneer there at Hickory.
Cool.
That's great.
Very cool.
Love it. Love it that you can pull that out right out of your hat, too. That's awesome. And I said hat. I'm good on the cussing for
So for curiosity's sake, Trevor, what year did Hickory stop being dirt and start being asphalt?
You asked that, and I don't know the exact year, to be honest with you. I know it, but now I can't pick that one off my hat at this point.
So we 70s,
the Hall of
80s.
Famer, Ned Jarrett paved it.
Ned Jarrett paved it. So probably 80s, 70s?
In the 70s.
Yeah, because I know
Ned Jarrett actually paved it.
Like himself. Yeah. He probably drove the equipment, too. Ned's a badass. I just remember looking, so I looked back in the annals. You had sent me, I think, a picture of like everybody that had won the track championship before, or like with or without NASCAR affiliation, and in the 50s was chock full of Ralph Earnhardt.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But those were the dirt days.
Ralph Earnhardt
sure.
knew how to get around.
So,
those were definitely the dirt days with Ralph Earnhardt. We had Junior Johnson. That was the dirt days. That was the moonshining days when Junior Johnson won the championship there. Bob Presley, that is the father of Robert Presley.
Heard of him.
Won some championships there. Yeah, so we had a guy named John Sotomayor. He won a bunch of championships there for a while. Jack Ingram just passed. Jack Ingram won a championship there.
Heck yeah, hats off.
I always like to think of Hickory Motor Speedway as kind of like the Grand Ole Opry of NASCAR. It might not be the biggest venue that a driver ever races at or anything like that, but it's the first. It's the one that they've all been to. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah. So in that vein, just to inject some humor, who's the Florida-Georgia line of NASCAR today?
Who knows?
Yeah, I know. I hear you.
There's so many of them.
I ain't no answer for that, really.
There's so many of them.
Well,
Florida, Georgia line.
With that, let's go ahead and tear it down, Sherwin. We're going to go...
that was a shot, by the way, but yeah.
Yeah.
Let's tear it down.
Let's see. Where in the world did we even go?
How about Truex put another country ass whooping on the field at Kentucky? Good grief. They had her dialed in.
You know what's funny is, so on the show notes, I completely messed up and left last week's on there that said tearing it down Daytona, and I said, and I'm looking at my notes, and I'm just making sure I say the right thing, and I went, no, we didn't race Daytona,
That's
you idiot.
Not the right
what
thing.
The world is? And then you go, oh, crap, what was it? Oh, where was I? What's going on? Amateur radio, ladies and gentlemen. Amateur radio.
Yeah, this is how it works. Amateur internet radio. Yeah. No, Truex Kyle Busch ran really well. He led 117 laps or 12 laps, something like that. Truex led like 150 and had a 15-second lead at one point when somewhere like – it's almost like somebody has a magic wand. Kurt Busch's rear end burned up after like 397 miles. His rear end decided to go. So we had this caution that now Truex and his team had to figure out, all right, do we have enough left to stay out? Because whatever we do, everybody's doing the other thing, right?
Yeah.
So he stays out. And after the fact, he's talking about how, I really was saving my tires.
Mm-hmm.
But we know on a brand new service they bring bricks. I mean, they're bringing concrete tires, so like it's not as big of a shock that after 50 laps he could like get away the way he did. I think that is one of the places NASCAR and Goodyear need to problem solve is why is it when we repave we can't figure out how to make a tire wear?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Trevor, any thoughts on that race and thoughts on Sherwin's question there?
Well, to be honest with you, I wasn't able to catch the race on TV. I did watch highlights when I got home. I went to the car store race at Tri-County right down the street. But the tire in the new pave, obviously listened to Dale Jr. this week. They do not like new paved racetracks. But it comes a point where, I mean, what do you let it go back to dirt? I mean, you have to pave it at some point, correct?
Well, that's true. That's a fantastic point.
Well, and we saw that happen at Atlanta Motor Speedway this year. We've talked about it a couple times where it kind of went hush-hush there after the big announcement that, we're repaving the track, and the backlash on that and everything. And now
there was a bunch of middle fingers got shot there, and then they said, okay, maybe we're not.
They just kind of didn't is all.
Right, and so like, here's the thing that I fear is that we're going to run into one of those weather deals next year, and they'll be like, oh my God, we got weepers. They should have repaved the thing, bro. Just shut up. I mean, if you like what it is, you have to chill out on that stuff. But I don't know how you can build a racetrack surface that has age on it. Mm-hmm. So we have to like really get back to the drawing board. Like obviously they super screwed up at Charlotte because they built. They put together this polymer package with the asphalt and the tar and stuff that where it was like not supposed to wear. And they didn't realize that meant that Goodyear had to bring like concrete tires.
Yep.
And that like the surface was never going to change.
Yep.
So like now we're back to the drawing board. We got really, really, really smart people that work in this sport. I'd like to see some of these guys that used to work for teams building cars that do amazing things, go work for NASCAR and make asphalt do amazing things. Mm-hmm. Because there should be a problem-solving bubble that they could find there.
Yeah, yeah. So we crapped the bed on our picks. So shout-outs to our friends over at Lap Traffic for, I think, both picking top fives, and we were dreaming down in the 20th and such.
Yeah, we were not great.
Yeah,
Ryan Blaney didn't do so well for me, and Clint had a decent night, but not a great night.
Yeah, yeah.
I think our friends over at Lap Traffic had two top 6s, I think, or something. It was pretty damn good. Kicked our butts.
Yeah. So evidently we lost Trevor there. So I'll have to call him back. In the meantime, Sherwin, Kenseth is out.
Out. Not only is he out, he had to take he had to exercise his own volition to tell us that he was out. Like, JGR was just kind of like, and he's like, look, I'm probably not racing for them. Like, they don't have a spot for me the way I understand it.
Yeah.
And it's like, why do we have to find out that way? Why is it so shady? Why is it that shady? I don't understand it.
It's that's a strange deal,
especially for a Hall of Famer. Matt Kenseth is a Hall of Fame NASCAR race driver.
Yeah.
Why does he have to shadily tell us, I don't think I'm racing this car next year?
Right. So, Trevor, are you back with us now?
I'm back.
All right. We did that fairly seamlessly, except for me talking about it right now.
Well, we talked about it, but so we own up to everything now, so that's fine.
Yeah, I don't try to pull shade over anybody's eyeballs there. So we were just talking about Kenseth out in 2018, replaced by Eric Jones. One thing I'd love to hear from you is I'm sure Eric Jones has come across the track. What's your impression on him?
Eric Jones is a very cool kid. Down to earth. He's just easy to talk to, and he's going to be very good for the sport. He's just a guy that can get in any car and just go. Kyle Busch brought him down there to Hickory in a late model. You could just tell he was way beyond his years. So he's definitely going to be in the sport a long time, and he's a great race car driver. It reminds you of Kyle Busch. His racing style, especially when I see him in the late model, but just kind of a different temperament when he gets out of the car, obviously.
Or not that much, really, early. I mean, he's starting to get better, but remember, the big knock on Eric was when he got out of the car, if he didn't win, he was kind of snotty.
Well, could be that. Were you surprised by this? Was this? I mean, I was surprised. Sherwin, this is I see the news and I'm going.
It was faster than.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a little bit quicker than I thought it was going to happen.
Yeah, Trevor.
I was surprised by it. They just announced it the other day, but when Kenseth said he didn't have a job, he could have pretty much told me, Eric Jones is draft my car next year. That's exactly what I thought was going to take place. With that 88 car being open, people, they definitely don't want Eric even going and talking to him. They wanted to go ahead and get him in one of their better rides. And that 88 car being open has really shuffled a lot of people around and getting things done probably a lot quicker than they normally would.
Oh, that's a good point.
Well, that's interesting that you say that because you probably have a little bit closer attachment to the sport and the pulse of what's happening. But, why it seems obvious to us from afar, us fans that are talking on the mic every week and drinking cold beer, that Bowman should be in that car. And obviously sponsorship plays a gigantic role in whether or not people get to race at those really high levels. But why isn't this a no-brainer? Why hasn't Hendrick announced Bowman's in the car?
And I think that you hit the nail on the head there. It is all about sponsorship. If you listen to Dale Jr.'s podcast and stuff like that, Dale Jr. wants Alex Bowman in that car. He's not been quiet about that at all. But the sponsorship plays such a big role. Just like we were talking, just like Josh Berry. Josh Berry is one of Dale Jr.'s drivers. He's footing the bill this year for Josh to drive the late model. He's put him in the Xfinity Series. He's done well in the Xfinity Series, but he doesn't have a sponsor. And Junior has spoke openly about he wants Josh Berry in the Xfinity Series, but there's no sponsorship. Same thing kind of with Alex Bowman. If he doesn't bring the sponsorship, they would love to put him in the car, but at the end of the day, it's a business.
Yeah, I'm starting to understand that. We're looking at Bubba Wallace is going to be sitting at the house unless something really interesting happens. we're looking at John Hunter Nemechek, who's sold sponsorship for the fall, but doesn't have sponsorship for the summer, and he's a 5-time race winner. We can get, if you're a Cole Custer fan, we can get upset about what happened at Mid-Ohio, but
yep.
Like John Hunter has won races on lots of different kind of tracks. He's obviously very fast, but he didn't have sponsorship, and it's like, what does it really take to get sponsorship? Like, is winning not what it takes? Because, goodness,
yeah,
not anymore. If you remember back when David Gillen won I don't know if it was Busch then or Nationwide. David Gillen won a Nationwide race. He didn't have a sponsored car. Next thing you know, David Gillen's in the M&M's car. It's a big deal. He got – well, then you fast forward 2 years later, Stephen Like won in Robert Yates, number 90, Busch Series or Nationwide car there. And Stephen Like didn't see another opportunity. He got a start and park ride, but that's it, So it really cut off right. I think David Gillen might be the last one that, hey, this kid won, let's give him a shot. Now it's all about, a lot of different aspects to it.
Yeah, and not even to take anything away from David Gillen, but I thought I remember that his dad had some partners that, it may have helped them get some sponsorship. Not that he didn't earn his way, because he certainly raced his way to the places that he got to. But, yeah, it's crazy that if you can win races, how in the hell are you not getting sponsorship?
Yeah.
I just don't get that.
Yeah,
how can John Hunter Nemechek win 5 races and get nothing?
That's a good question. Maybe for the PETM posse to
we're going to raise hell when we get up to Eldora, and that's coming later. We're kind of stashing that for a surprise. But
yeah.
I gave a sneak peek.
So, Trevor, we know in your line of work you've got all kinds of stories, and we've done a little bit of digging and a little bit of conversating with you, and I want to know some of your stories here. It sounds like you have a really good Dale Jarrett story that you kind of teased us on the pre-show with. If it's one you'd like to share with us.
Yeah, Hickory and all the way up to the Mooresville area is kind of like the Hollywood of NASCAR as well. I talked about the Grand Ole Opry, but it's kind of like the Hollywood. If you're in California walking through Hollywood, you're not surprised to see an actor or actress. Well, Hickory or up in the Mooresville area, you're not surprised to see a Cup driver just walking around. It's not a total shocker. So I actually, growing up, I worked at a diner called Shell's Barbecue. The building actually was DJ's Diner at one time. Shell's Barbecue bought it and moved it. It's from walking distance from my house. They moved it there, and every morning when I was 16, me and my brother would go eat breakfast there. When it was Shell's Barbecue, I worked there, so I got a little bit of a discount, so I would always go and eat breakfast. Well, I'd say 3 or 4 times a month, maybe once a week, Dale Jarrett would be sitting there eating breakfast. And he'd have his hat on, eating sliced tomatoes and eggs. Same thing every day. He'd be sitting there eating breakfast. Well, I would sit at the booth right in front of him, and I would talk to him about his kids in sports. I would just talk to him about his kids, just making conversation. And his son actually just got drafted to play Major League Baseball, his younger son. And but I would talk to him about them playing basketball. And this went on for, I would say, months. And it was the year that Matt Kenseth had spanked everyone. It changed the whole that year changed NASCAR forever, because that's when Matt Kenseth was just consistent. He was just over consistent, and ran away with that points lead. And I asked, Dale Jarrett got up one day, and he was getting ready to leave, and I said, "Hey, do you have anything for Kenseth this week?" He ripped around real quick. He said, "You know who I am?" And I said, "Well, of course, you're Dale Jarrett." Who'd you think I thought you were, And he goes, "All this time, you've never mentioned racing one time." And I said, "Well, I figured, you didn't want to talk about racing. I was just talking to you about your kids and everything. You're a normal guy, right? And he laughed. He said, dude, I really appreciate that. So it went on for a while. You know, he actually, when I was waiting tables there, he would actually come in and I would sit him in the back, him and his family, so they could have a together and not have to be bothered by people. Because, I mean, people would come up to him all the time. So that was definitely there. He was shocked, but I just figured he didn't want to talk about racing all the time. He took a liking that I didn't force it down his throat.
That's awesome. Sherwin, you met Dale Jarrett, matter of fact.
Very, very briefly. Not the same kind of story, but somewhat similar in that I had stopped at the Taco Mac at University Station back in, I want to say February, and I'm sitting there, and I've got my laptop up. I'm doing work because I'm on my way because I support a manufacturing facility in North Carolina. And I had stopped there because it was Taco Mac Double Point Mondays. Got to get those points.
Get those points. Credits. Get that T-shirt.
Yeah. So I had stopped there, and I was going to the bathroom, and I mean, Dale Jarrett's pretty easy to recognize.
Yeah.
If you've watched as many shows or as many of those NBC Sports Network NASCAR shows and watched the broadcast the last 2 years. You know, Dale Jarrett's pretty easy to recognize. And so I just kind of stopped and said, Dale Jarrett, just kind of looked him in the eye, and he said, yep. I said, really appreciate what you're doing on TV. That thing rocks.
Yeah.
And I walked away.
Yeah, yeah.
And we actually had a bathroom moment where I didn't talk to him because you don't do that.
Right.
Now, I had heard that's
a faux pas.
It's like we were both in the bathroom at the same time. It was like we recognized that we had already shaken hands.
Yeah.
But there was no need for chatter.
Yeah, yeah.
He did his thing, I did mine, and we left. And that's the way we like to do it here at the PETM podcast. We like to stay respectful.
Right. So, Trevor, we dug deep.
That's crazy.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's crazy we're talking about Dale Jarrett here because a lot of people think, that just drivers come out of Hickory. And obviously Dale was a driver, and his dad was a driver at Hickory. But we also, I mean, if you look at the broadcasting booth over the last couple of years, 20 years or so, pretty crazy thing. Dale Jarrett, Andy Petrie, and Dr. Jerry Punch all went to school in Newton, North Carolina, which is where the racetrack is.
Wow.
They all started at Hickory Motor Speedway.
I didn't know that.
That's awesome. I love Andy Petrie.
Yeah.
I wish he was still a part of the broadcast.
I agree 130%. I don't know what I don't know what's
preventing that. Yeah. Andy Petrie rules. To me, the best thing ever would be Dale Jarrett, Andy Petrie, and maybe Mike Joy. Like if that trio fits.
Sure. Give us somebody with the voice. Trevor,
and then you throw Dr. Jerry Punch in the pit.
Yes,
Hell
sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. He's free agent now, right?
Yeah. Yeah, Jerry is for sure.
Yeah, yeah. So, Trevor, we dug a little bit deeper, and
first cut is the deepest.
we understand you used to do some stand-up comedy stuff with John Reap.
We love stand-up comedy.
Ah, man, it's one of the things that really got us. The stand-up comedians that we follow and that we watch, and they start doing podcasts, and we started following that, and then among the inspirations for us even doing this show is some of those stand-up
even some
comedians.
of the segments we've adapted from
yeah yelling and screaming and
comedian podcast.
Yeah, and so you did some stand-up comedy with John Reap. Would love to hear some of the tales with that.
John, another guy from Hickory, definitely cool. I always thought he was hilarious with the Hemi thing, and then he won Last Comic Standing.
Yeah,
he was in Harold and Kumar. I always wanted to meet him, but I never really did. I mean, he was never really around or whatever. Well, I started with this comedy show. Really, how it happened, racing is what got me into comedy.
Awesome.
I did all the promotions for Hickory Motor Speedway, and I was doing all the videos, and there was a tick in the fan count at Hickory. Well, they seen that how I was using social media to get people in. So this comedy zone, Hickory said, "Hey, will you come try to help us get some people in?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah, I guess I can try." So the first day I went there, they're like, "We don't have an MC, and we need somebody to an MC." And I'm like, like, announce? They're like, "No, you got to, like, warm the crowd up, like, tell jokes." I'm like, "Well, don't you think you should have told me this, like, a couple of days ago so I could have prepared?" So I just started drinking some 7 and 7s and figured the stories would start coming. So I just said, "Okay, I'll try it." Well, it went pretty good, and then they just said that they wanted me to start doing start opening. Well, one night I had been promoting it out there that we were going to have a comedy show, and I get a message from John Reap. He's like, "Dude, y'all going to be in Hickory tonight? Comedy?" I'm like, "Yeah, I want to come out." I'm like, "You want to come out to watch?" He's like, "Yeah, I'll have my dad drop me out." And I was like, "Your dad?"
What?
He's just that guy, though. Like, his dad literally dropped him off, like he was dropping him off at the mall with some lunch money. And John gets there, and he's like, I'm like, "Dude, do you want to go on?" He's like, "Nah, man, I don't want to really, if I go on, then it makes y'all look bad." I'm like, "Yeah, it's true." So, he said, I said, "No, dude, everybody would love, you're from Hickory, everybody would love." He's like, "All right, y'all, you get up there and you do your thing, and you can introduce me at the end." Well, I put him in the back. Nobody even knew he was there. And I introduced him. And me and him kind of hit it off that night. So then I opened for him a few other times. He'd call me up and say, "Hey, come open for me in Charlotte," or different things. So comedy, I love doing it. But me and you telling stories back and forth, I can be funny doing that. But standing up there in front of a mixed group and telling jokes, that gets kind of tough after a while.
Well, it's funny, and you said that one of the things that kept us or got us into this whole thing was the comedians that we listened to, and that's kind of the thing that we hear a lot. Goodness gracious, Sherwin is opening up the beer cooler there and has put some fantastic beers on the line, so I got distracted. But that's one of the things we hear is it is so much different. You hear about the guy who's funny around the water cooler, as we'll say, and everybody's, "Oh, you should be a comedian. You should do stand up." That guy goes up there and just bombs, and
right, because he's just too flat. He doesn't, you got to have a relationship with your audience.
Yeah,
and like that's what I've tried to tell people. Like, on occasion we make people laugh on this show, but it's all spontaneity. It's not written. We don't write jokes because we don't have that skill.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and when somebody says something,
that's the truth. I mean,
yeah, go ahead.
That's the truth. When you get up there, and you're sitting there and these bright lights are in your face, and I'm standing there and I'm looking at this old lady and she's just looking at me. I bet she was in her 60s, late 60s, and she's just looking at me like, "You tell another dirty joke, and I'm going to come up there." She just kept giving me the whole time. And I'm sitting there and I'm trying not to look at her because I'm trying to stay focused on what I'm telling, the jokes I'm telling. And that's just the worst thing in the world. You feel like you're telling a joke to your grandmother that you shouldn't be telling. And doesn't work out too good.
Oh, that's awesome.
If forced in that situation, I would like to experience it, though. Just the awkwardness of telling a raunchy joke to grandma.
I've always thought, because they've got the open mic stuff, and maybe if I practice enough and I go up there and I tell a couple, get my tight five in and try that and see how hard I bomb. It's almost just want to see. It's like doing a belly flop off the high dive, just to see.
I think the different. Yeah, go. I'm gonna interrupt you here real quick, Trevor. I feel like for you and me, Rusty, it's like when we're having fun telling jokes and making each other laugh.
Yeah,
like they're in the moment. They're not written
that's
or
not
choreographed.
A joke. That's us just
and it's not
around.
A performance. So I'm reading what Ashley Stang is just written in our wall on YouTube. It's like, no, we're not actors, and that's the difference. Like we can be funny in the moment.
Right.
But, like, we are not performers, as you said.
Yes.
Like, we're not actors. We're not comedians. Like, that is a whole different skill set.
Right, right.
So, Trevor, sorry to interrupt you there.
I'm not a drinker, heavy drinker at all. Tonight I'm having one just because I thought that was something cool to say on the podcast here. But I did realize that it takes a lot. I see why comedians sit up there and drink. Like Ron White, he is completely toasted when he's up there. And I can see why, because it just kind of numbs you, and you start just telling jokes, and you don't hear the people yelling at you or whatever. You just keep on going.
Well, I think for some of those guys, it definitely stops them from getting into that addressing a heckler stage. As long as whoever's yelling is not like really distracting. Like, I mean, we can all point to when Bill Burr was in Philadelphia. Like, what is that? That's been probably 10 years now, maybe only 5. But he spent 18 minutes. Just thrashing Philly because he told a joke they didn't like and they started booing. He was like, I'm fixing to go deep. But he has that skill. He has that performer's skill, and it's the same thing as making people laugh as pissing people off. It's the same vein. It's just a matter of where the needle falls when you spin it.
So mad props to Trevor for standing up in front of those people and doing something that I've always thought.
I'm scared to cat.
Try that. Yeah, exactly.
We do it on this microphone like totally protected and hope somebody laughs. Like, right. Hope somebody.
Every once in a while, we see that YouTube comment come in. It's like LOL, and we're like, "Hey,
that was funny."
I did
a
redneck noise. So Trevor, where we have Sherman and I have 2 dirt tracks coming up within 4 days of each other.
It's a high density schedule coming up here real quick.
Right. So first one, Dixie Motor Speedway here in Woodstock, Georgia. Just wanted to see if you had ever been there, heard of it, or heard of anything going down in Dixie.
I have not. The crazy thing is a lot of people ask me about dirt. We have a lot of dirt race tracks around here.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I'm just so biased to asphalt. But with Eldora coming in and doing what Eldora's done with the trucks, it's made me a pretty big fan. I have to admit.
Mm-hmm. And so Sherwin, we'll be at Dixie on Saturday.
How much fun did we have when we went to Charlotte a few years ago? And,
and
Friday night, the 4/10 mile track. How cool was that?
It's too much fun to go down to the local dirt track. If you hadn't been, I guarantee 1, there's a local dirt track near you. And 2, when you go, you're gonna see something. You're gonna see a fight, or you're gonna see
people watching is gonna be fantastic.
Oh yeah, the people watching, or
because it's even different than NASCAR. Remember when we went at Charlotte? It was like we had like Supercrossy and then like affliction-y, like MMA type dudes, like.
Yeah.
Guys that you thought would be like, that looks like a surfer punk or something. I don't know what he is, but like they're all up in some dirt race.
And then the crazy stuff that you never thought you'd see happen at your local track, or you never knew that was even going to happen. So last time I went to Dixie, they did the race where the driver, or there's 2 people in the car, and one of them controls steering and the other controls throttle and brake. And it's like, why not? The next thing I'm doing is looking up like old used cars on Craigslist or something, trying to find me one of them, trying to find me some car that I can rig up so me and you can go out there and destroy the field or something.
That would be awesome. We have got to do that.
The first thing you think is, this is so stupid, and as soon as they start, you go, all right, how are we going to do this?
Awesome.
We got to do this. What's a car cost? Maybe $800 for a banger. Let's buy that thing up and tear this thing down. So, I love that sort of stuff, and of course Eldora coming up. Have you been to Eldora, Trevor?
I have not. I was supposed to spot that race the first year, and that didn't work out. That's definitely on my bucket list, though, for sure. I always say the holy grail of dirt tracks is Eldora, and then I definitely want to go there, especially for this truck race. I liked the prelude to the dream that Tony Stewart had there for a while. That was a really cool deal as well.
Yeah. So Dixie and Eldora coming up this week for us.
Right. Saturday we're going to Dixie, full card that includes World of Outlaws, super late models, compact division. And then on Tuesday, we're getting on a plane in the morning, like 9 o'clock.
Oh, geez.
We're going to start drinking at 6 a.m.
Oh, yeah.
And get on an airplane and fly to
go do what we do best.
Fort Wayne, Indiana, where we will have to pick up a rental car and drive just under 2 hours to Eldora. But we already have campsite and a plethora of friends there to hang out with. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Obviously going to do a show there and have some fun. We'll move on to the questions for this week. Ask PTM. We got one from Closet NASCAR Fan at Closet NASCAR Fan asks the title of this one, Tire Dragon. Why do tracks keep focusing on the groove that's already there, Sherwin?
Well, so I would absolutely encourage everyone to listen to the professional podcast that I typically listen to, which is Dale Jr. Download and Door Bumper Clear, because they said all the same things we would say as people that would analyze the race as fans and both scientists, in that why would you drag the groove where they already race in?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to piggyback on what Junior said and what Spotter Brett and TJ Major said. That's just reality is, hey, track operators, you should drag the groove that they don't want to race in. Because if you make the groove they don't want to race in a place there where they might want to race, then you could definitely impact what the race might be.
Mm-hmm. Trevor, your thoughts?
I agree. I just don't see the purpose in it, to be honest with you. I think it doesn't really make sense to me, but it's what they want to do. We had a tire dragon at Hickory here a couple weeks ago, but that was to drive the track. We just hooked the tires to the back of the tow truck and just pulling to drive the track. That's our tire dragon.
Oh, like a drag you would use to drag a pasture to knock all the poop down. One of those chain drags. Yeah.
Kyle Petty was actually here, I don't know, not too long ago to watch his nephew Thad Moffitt.
Yep.
And it was raining, and what I was calling the tire dragon there, I was having to do the announcing where we were on a 2-hour rain delay. So I'm going up and down. I've interviewed just about every driver 3 times, and I decided to come up with an idea where the drivers write their number on the tennis ball and throw it into the stands. Well, Carson Elledge was there that week as well, which is a pretty cool deal. That was the first time ever 2 7-time champions grandkids raced against each other. Obviously,
that's pretty cool.
There's only 2 grandkids for the 7-time champions, so that was a pretty cool deal. Dale Earnhardt's granddaughter Carson Elledge and Richard Petty's grandson Thad Moffitt. But Kyle Petty comes up to me and he goes, "Dude, you need to have the drivers start throwing the balls at the tires when they're going by." So we did that, and that was pretty cool. Kyle Petty's giving me some advice, and I said, "Well, come on in here, let me interview you." He goes, no. He didn't want nobody to know he was there, but he said that the longest, he said at Daytona one year, they had a rain delay. He said that he commended me on doing a pretty good job cutting up the time there, but he said the longest one they had was at Daytona, and I think it was 6 hours or something, and they just had to keep going and going and going. So that was my tire dragon story.
Yeah, well, there was a time when TNT had the July Daytona race, right, for about 6 years there,
mm-hmm.
and they didn't.
Yep.
They didn't have cutaway. They didn't have another thing to go to. So if NASCAR said, "We're pretty sure we're going to race, but it might be a minute," TNT had to stay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, Sherwin, let's gas it up and head off to the home of lobster and maple syrup.
All right, so speaking of all this tire dragon stuff, we put the boogers back down.
Oh, did we?
Yeah,
we put the VHC boogers right back on the truck.
Actually, they chose a different one. They didn't choose VHT. They chose PJ1, which if you Wikipedia VHT, they're both in there. It's basically the same type of compound. And they said they put him in the middle groove, and Junior was like, we already raced in the middle groove, so what the hell are you calling the middle groove? Is the middle groove outside of the middle groove we already run, or did you just lay that crap down in the groove we already run?
Yeah.
And create the same thing we were just talking about with the dragon is don't drag the groove we race.
Right.
Or don't spray the boogers down in the groove we race. Spray it in a groove that we don't race.
Yeah. So, Trevor, what are you looking forward to at New Hampshire?
Just good racing. I'm looking forward to the K&N race. Really, I like watching the K&N races and Xfinity and the Cup race. I like to see if
K&N series.
if Truex can continue his dominance.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, no kidding. Sherwin, I think that brings us to picks. Then we got to do some picks for this race.
Yeah. Well, Magic Mile hadn't been so magic, so hopefully we can get some of that back this.
Yeah, hoping so. And I've got a pick that maybe sparks some magic. We'll see. Trevor, what's your favorites for this race?
I would.
Oh, we lost a little bit of Trevor there.
All right.
Yep, that's how it happens.
I guess I'll pick mine.
I'll pull him back up here.
With the boogers down, I feels like I need to change the way I'm picking.
Okay.
I think I'm going to go really off script here. I'm going to pick Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Junior.
Yeah.
Wow. One of the last races of his. Is this the last?
Second to last?
Yeah, we don't have
one more in the chase.
Yeah. We don't have another one coming.
Well, as much as he was bitching about what they were doing, I just kind of feel like maybe he's going to be fast and going to have to kind of, eat some crow afterwards or whatever.
Yeah. So, Trevor, sounds like we got you back. We missed your pick right as you
were trying to make it.
Yeah, you were trying to make it, and we dropped you off. So, who do you like there? Maybe the phone gods don't like your pick, evidently.
I like Truex.
Truex. All right.
Flat track.
I have to stay on that bandwagon. The crazy thing is, Joe Gibbs hasn't won a race.
Yep.
But Truex has won plenty, so
I like that pull.
With it being in that umbrella, it kind of a head scratcher to me how Truex is winning, and they're all talking about Joe Gibbs' cars not winning the races. Kyle Busch has been there. I think Kyle Busch might show up this week as well.
That's
a good call. I think it's been really funny to me to read all the tweets of the people that insist that Truex's car is cheated up. But I think what Truex will tell you is that the tracks that he's really killed people on, he's like, my car feels great, and like the way I want to drive it is perfect. Like it just matches.
Mm-hmm.
Like the way he wants a car to feel is matching the way he likes to drive it.
Mm-hmm.
And there's been 4 races where he's completely dominated, and he's won 3 of them. So.
Yep. Sherwin, on September 19th, 2010. 2010. My pick won this race. And in the fashion of doubling down on Truex, like our guest Trevor has done, I am doubling down this week on Clint Bowyer.
Oh, hell yeah.
So
well, I wanted to pick Clint, but I wanted you to get a chance to have him. So while we got disconnected there, Trevor, I picked Dale Earnhardt Jr. Just because he talked a little
That's
smack.
definitely a fan favorite there.
Yeah, he talked – well, and I'm not doing that to be a fan favorite. I'm doing it because he talked a little smacked about them putting down the PJ1 boogers and the fact that he's actually – it's like Martinsville. He's sneaky quicker there than people give him credit for. He just hadn't won yet.
Sneaky quick. So there you go. Our picks right here. Clint Bowyer for old Rusty. Sherwin's got Dale Jr. and Truex pulling the double from our guest Trevor. Last thing we always do. Oh, it always ends up something crazy. Trevor is an off the wall question from Miss Ashley J. Stang. We call it the Strange with Stang. So referencing that dude at a racetrack who got arrested and then proposed to his girlfriend
in handcuffs.
Evidently. Which, by the way, I mean, creative right
Balls
there.
out.
Yeah, why not? tell us. Think about the worst marriage proposal you've ever witnessed. Sherwin, let's go with you first. If you did you have something for this?
I don't not witness with my own eyes. I mean, one of my good friends, one of the people we're going to go to this dirt race with on Saturday.
You listening?
No, she doesn't listen. She had this really awful experience where I remember potential fiance got pulled over and his insurance had expired or his registration won, and it was right near her house, so she kind of walked down there with a dog or whatever. And he gets arrested. So then, there's this whole saga, and he's one of these only children or something, where mom thinks he's the most special thing on earth. So by the time they get him out of jail, because you do get arrested for not having proof of registration in Georgia, 3 hours later, Claire's done all the work to get him out of jail, and the parents are kind of you just need to be, you need to be nice to him. He's probably been under a lot of stress last couple of hours.
Yeah.
And she's like, excuse me? and this dude just totally misses all the tells. All the tells. Shows up I need some space. She's like, you're staying at your parents' house tonight, by the way.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about the next time we see each other. Shows up the next night with the ring.
Oh my God.
And not only does he show up with the ring at the worst possible time to propose to her, he shows up with the exact design ring. She said, that's really the only one I don't like.
Oh, Lord.
It's the halo cut or whatever. She's a single stone kind of girl or whatever.
Okay.
And so, this dude just swing and a miss. They went from, almost getting engaged to, poof, dude's gone.
There's some about you got to know that answer before you ask it. You know what I mean?
And you got to understand your situations.
Yeah, and if
hold off a couple months, dude, she would have said yes. That's what's weird.
That's what's weird. I don't have a good. That's a great story, and I don't have a good one. I remember watching one. There's always a few. You can go on YouTube and watch them. With my favorites. Whether you call it sadistic or whatever, is the ones on at a sporting event, Oh
yeah,
and it's definitely the ones at some basketball game, and the I can't even remember who it was. I want to say it was the Nets or something. And this dude proposes to his girlfriend, and I mean he's got the sign up behind him.
He just gives him
the
face,
and the mascot is there. To just kind of, yay, yeah. He called him up beforehand, set this whole thing up. She going to say yes? Oh, yeah, she'll say yes. Yeah, no problem. And she runs off, leaves. She hauls ass. She's gone.
She gone.
Yeah. and the mascot's, he can't make facial expressions, so, his arms just kind of go up. He's like, what happened? And they cut away, and that was that. I love that stuff. So, Trevor, any crazy marriage proposal stories? Hey, by the way, my wife said yes, and I knew she would. So, Trevor, anything crazy?
I can agree with you there. When I asked my wife, she picked her ring out. I mean,
yeah.
I made sure that she got the exact ring she wanted with the exact stone. I mean, it was everything. I wasn't going to go down that road. But with her picking the ring out, I was pretty sure she was going to say yes.
Yeah.
But, there's some, we were talking about the Dylan Jr. download. I was going to talk about that in a minute because he does mention Hickory in that one today. Thing is, I got two, and they're both at Hickory Speedway. Last year we had someone propose randomly, he just proposes. He comes down, I'm doing the pre-race stuff. He comes down and says, hey, can I borrow the microphone? And I'm like, dude, we don't usually, it's not mic night, I don't just let people have my microphone, I don't know what you're going to say. And, my main thing is, every time I talk to a driver, I'll go interview a driver that is mad. And the first thing I say is, if you cuss, I'll never interview you. I don't care if you're in the victory lane. I don't care what it is. If you cuss on my microphone, you're done. And so I'm thinking, what's this guy going to say? Is he going to call somebody out? and he just kind of grabs it. And he's like, I love you. And I'm like, is he talking to me? Or what's going on here? And he proposed to, I guess now his wife. And it's just kind of a weird thing. Like, you could have told me beforehand, you know. But there's another one that there's a driver that came up to me. He's a Hispanic driver at Hickory, and he came up and he said, if I ever make it in the top 3, he said that I'm going to propose. I'm just going to let you know, I don't want you to tell anybody, but I'm going to propose to my girlfriend on the podium finish. And I said, oh, that's cool. That's cool. Well, it's been 2 years since he told me that. Well, one race this year, he finishes in the top 3. Oh, great. He's going to get to do it. Well, I hear on the radio, since it rains in the area, we're going to shorten the interviews. We're only interviewing the winner. Pull all the other cars to the no. So he finally makes it in the top 3. He's getting ready to propose. He even pulled down on the front stretch, and they told him, no, go to the tech shed, go to the tech shed. Nobody knew what he was wanting to do, but, I mean, he was ready. And he's all excited. They wouldn't let him do it because we were trying to get the rest of the race in. So
that's crap.
Yet to this day, he's still not proposed and still not been on the podium.
Oh, no. So
yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So it kind of, let's just say it rained on his parade.
Quite literally. That was... Oh, my gosh. And now we've got some insider information, something to look forward to.
Sure.
Some news from Hickory, Sherwin. Mr. Trevor, it has been an absolute blast having you on here. I know we're running up on our time as always, like we do when we start BSing and telling stories and stuff. Why don't you go ahead and send us off and tell us where folks can find you and what you're up to next.
Well, you can find me on Twitter. I think it's Townsend Trevor T, something weird like that. You can find me there. You can always find me at Hickory Motor Speedway. If you've never been to Hickory Motor Speedway, it should be on your bucket list. There's legends there in the stands every week. Just talking about Dale Jr.'s podcast there, he mentions again that he's going to race at Hickory Motor Speedway when he retires. They come back to Hickory. So come out to Hickory Motor Speedway. You got to check us out. Some of the greats have been there. It's just like walking on the NASCAR when you walk in there. You got to come out and see us. We're going to have the Cars Tour. Go check out the Cars Tour Twitter or Facebook. They're a pretty good touring series that we have down here. One of my favorites, the one that Josh Berry just won at Tri-County. He was 6th with 25 to go, comes out, and the lead changes 3 times. If you haven't seen that video, go to Cars Tour on Twitter there. But they're going to be there August 4th for a throwback night. Late models never had a throwback night. There's a Wrangler car, a Kelly Earnhardt throwback. There is a Petty throwback, Bobby Allison throwback, a Dennis Setzer throwback. There's some late model guys throwing it back to who they looked up to. That's going to be a really cool race. You got to come out. I know some of you guys are far away, but you got to come out to Hickory Motor Speedway. It should definitely be on your bucket list.
Excellent. Thank you so much. You know what's cool, Sherwin, is hearing that, that's where the stars start, and that's where the stars go after they've ended their career. That they're bookending their career with Hickory Motor Speedway. I love that.
Yeah, it's very cool. It's a very cool place.
Well, with that, let's shut this thing down, dude. Y'all know where to find us at PTM Podcast. As always, I'm Tailgate Mayor at Tailgate Mayor, and we're going to be, who knows what all we've got coming up, Sherwin.
Oh, we're racing hell. We're not going to talk to you again until we're in the campground at Eldora Speedway.
Holy crap.
We're going to be doing our podcast from there with lap traffic, possibly the Orange Cone. I believe he's around. NASCAR Chasm may be in the area. We don't know what. We're running into all these folks. We're doing the dirt racing thing. We are NASCAR, just like Sydney Lett hollering over there.
We'll be tweeting out from Dixie Motor Speedway here coming this
right.
weekend.
We're going to race hell down there, and they've already invited us up to do a podcast there. We got to figure that out. Our buddies up at Dixie Speedway.
It's a blast.
We're going to run into them on Saturday. It's crazy. I'm just talking because
don't even know what's going on. Don't know what to do. Well, y'all, we'll talk to y'all next week from Eldora. This is the podcast. We'll talk to y'all next week. Woo!
Thumbs up!
All right. You still with us there, Trevor?
Yeah, buddy.
He still is. All right. We're still on the YouTube. But, man.
Still on the tuber to close her up here.
That was awesome.
Thank you so much for joining us, Trevor. We really appreciate it.
No problem. Had a blast. I enjoyed it.
That's an absolute.
You guys got a great show.
Yeah, that's an absolute blast. And hearing the stories and stuff, I think that that's why we like to keep it so open ended. Just hear what folks got to say.
We don't like to script it.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah,
it's that's fun. So I know we've had you on for an hour. Sorry for any technical difficulties there, but looks like we've.
I just had a hard time. I get it now. It's fine, but what you're saying, like I would keep hearing myself instead of y'all.
Oh,
so
okay.
It was kind of hard to.
Yeah, I got you.
Like
no, I appreciate that.
It was repeating myself back in my ear.
Yeah, I appreciate that feedback too, because then I'll mess with the soundboard here and make sure that doesn't happen.
What's funny is right when we decided we were going to start closing, your audio got really crisp.
Oh yeah, I heard that.
Really?
I heard that.
So I don't know if we had an internet change or what. So who knows?
Yeah, who knows? So Trevor,
we've been struggling a little bit. Atlanta ain't all that friendly sometimes, even though it's a big city.
Yeah,
to internet shit.
No problem.
Well, we'll let you get out of here, man.
No problem.
We appreciate it very much, and we'll look forward to the next time. All right.
Anytime. Thank you, guys.
All right, man. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
All right, YouTubers. Thank y'all as always. This was a blast. So cool. We get these guys and gals on.
We don't have half a damn show sheet, and we still skip part of
it.
That's how it happens.
The point is that just what they bring, the stories and the perspective and everything they bring. I love that. I love hearing what they just all the different perspectives on just NASCAR racing, everything else. What can I say? I don't know. I'm having a blast. Anyway,
I like going off script with somebody.
Here we go, y'all. We're gonna stop streaming now. And peace out.
Peace.
From Eldor. We'll talk to y'all next time.